All right, good morning, everyone. Rock of the Marm to the 3rd Infantry Division community. My name is Sergeant Arjenis Nunez, and we are here for another podcast delivering the information that you need about our fight against COVID-19. To my right, I have Miss Jennifer Britos, who is the Acting Director for MWR. And to my left, Miss Stacy Groth, who is the CYS Division Chief. CYS standing for Child Youth Services, and MWR, Morale, Welfare,
and Recreation.
And Recreation. There we go. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. As we were discussing prior to recording, we really want to give the information to our community, to our 3rd Infantry Division community here at Fort Stewart, as well as the Hunter Army Airfield community. And a lot of the questions are coming from concerned caretakers. They want to know how we are combating COVID-19, but also what we're doing about our kids who clearly, schools are closed. A lot of the services for the children have closed down because we want to avoid contact. We want to keep everyone as safe as possible. So can you guys tell me a little bit about what you do? Ms. Britos, starting with you.
So yes, I tell you, we've been working hand in hand with the command as well as MedCom as the situation develops. So we have, over the course of the last couple of weeks, surely everybody's noticed that we've made some changes to our programs. First, we had to cease a couple of the youth sports programs, and we also downsized our operations, and that way we could ensure that we were applying the health protection measures that are needed at this time to clean and sanitize the facilities for the children. In addition to that, we've also been monitoring the care demands, because what we have seen is a little bit of a challenge. We had COVID arrive in our area right around spring break. And so it was a little bit of uncertain times, and right after that, I think, is when situations started to change, and we saw a lot more families where parents were teleworking or temporarily dismissed from work in accordance with the social protocols that the governor's put out. Stacy, you want to talk more about inside the facilities, what we're doing?
So along with that, just to tag in a little bit, as things evolved, we started collecting those mission critical care forms to make sure we were providing services to those most in need, with the priority being single military, dual military, and those, of course, that were a military member with someone supporting the health initiatives at Wynn Army Medical Center. In addition to that, in our programs, we have taken on a new look. When you enter our facilities, we direct you right away to a hand washing station where you wash your hands, sanitize your hands. Very limited flow as people come and go. We make sure we're honoring that distance. And then the parents proceed on into their respective classrooms. And once in there, again, this is part of our normal protocol on this part, but they enter the classrooms, they wash their hands as well as their child's hands. That just reinforces what starts at the front door.
Now, Ms. Groth, you mentioned mission critical forms. What is that for those that have not addressed that at all, or they've been concerned on how to provide the right forms, the right paperwork to you guys for enrollment? What is it?
Okay, yes. So it's a form that has been sent out to through all of our users through our SIMS database. It's also been posted on our MWR website and sent out in various medias. It is a form that basically is signed by an 05 or above that states, my soldier is mission critical, and their spouse, if they are mission critical, it's signed by their commander, and that's submitted to us so we can help prioritize to make sure those people that need care immediately are getting that care.
And 05 being a lieutenant colonel?
Yes, sir.
And above, okay. And in regards to the priorities of effort on who can use these child development services, child youth services, can you expand on that? Can you let us know who can, who can't? Is there a gray area in between?
So currently we're looking, during this immediate pandemic situation, we are taking the forms for single military, dual military, and then a military member with a working spouse, and that spouse is also deemed mission critical in some health care situation. So they're supporting our hospital, they might be supporting Candler, Memorial, but there is a connection again with the military member, and it's to support the fight in this virus.
And who exactly establishes this? Where does this come from?
So that was actually part of the discussion with the command. Again, as Ms. Groth stated, we've always taken single military and dual military as our top priorities. But understanding that normally mission critical, as an example, we've gone through the hurricane drills.
Yes.
So mission critical is typically a much lower level of response from the community. In this instance, dealing with a health issue, what we found is that we have a lot more need to make sure our medical providers are able to get the care they need so they can report for duty and do all the good work they're doing, both on the installations as well as out in the surrounding communities.
Right.
So in this instance, that was the dialogue with the command, priority of care, priority of effort, level of effort, understanding that the priorities for the third ID is keeping the PX and commissary open and serviceable to the community, and along with that, keeping the medical facilities open and serviceable to the community.
Right.
So we stand ready to support that, understanding also that there are a significant amount of population, both soldier and civilian, that have temporarily been, sidelined, told to stay at home, limit your contact, limit your travel. We still understand that those folks would appreciate some childcare, and we will get back to that normal op tempo at a date to be determined. But right now we're balancing the mission also with the needs of our own staff who have families and children to tend to as well.
Have you guys implemented any form of distance learning or any form of distance engagement overall with these parents and their kids to sort of balance out the loss of having the facility and engagement? Have you guys done anything of that sort?
Yes. So those at our school age facility, we have one both at Fort Stewart and Hunter. Those children are working in our computer labs. Some are bringing their own laptops to ensure that distance learning with their local schools is being met.
Right.
So we are supporting that effort as best we can to make sure that they don't fall behind. They're getting that little bit of extra homework support. So we're very happy that we're able to do that.
And have there been any challenges in this type of engagement with schoolwork or even just tutoring, things like that? Has it been difficult?
Well, so I would say difficult just to the point that it's new. So we are, we're learning this as we go, as were the teachers when they were sent home to say, okay, you're going to now do this virtually with your children. So we have those same struggles. What does it look like? How do we work it best? But we are, all staff is putting in 100% plus effort to make sure that we're doing things right.
So you can feel the sense of community. You can feel everyone coming together for
yes,
real.
Absolutely.
You truly can. And to expand on that, outside the boundaries of the CYS program, we also have our library system. And through our library system, our community has access to digital resources 24/7, 365, whether you're here, there, or everywhere. And the beauty of that is that you can still sign up if you don't have a library account by contacting the library. They can do it over email, over the phone. Once you get access to that, you do get to the tutor.coms, because I know a lot of parents are not used to being more hands-on with the schoolwork.
Right.
Math is different than when I was a kid.
Very different. Yeah. Very different. I can attest.
So it's not only a resource for the children, it's also a resource for the parents. Additionally, learning happens outside of reading, writing, and arithmetic. So there's a number of resources through the library. In fact, we're doing a fantastic digital Lego competition.
That's awesome.
Where the kids are building Lego. So we're supporting the STEM and the STEAM initiatives, and they're uploading their images weekly, and we do weekly winners. And there's just no telling, actually, what you can do through these resources. So we highly encourage folks to take advantage of it. No cost whatsoever. No cost.
And so are you guys taking away and writing down what's working effectively here? Is there potential for this to change how you approach the entire system in the future with the changes that you've made now?
Absolutely. You know, having a written plan is great, but putting the plan into action is where you actually find out what works and what doesn't work. And it's going to vary based on whatever the challenge is before us. You know, we're learning in this instance, being a health protection initiative, that there's additional protocols. You know, we've always maintained sanitation and cleanliness in our facilities. But what we're finding is in this instance, we've got to increase the frequency. So that's an additional challenge with regard to, in the child and youth, you can't have the kids there while you're spraying a bleach solution.
Right.
So navigating those challenges, finding time for our staff, you know, to not only provide the child care, but also ensure the health protection measures, has been a bit of a challenge. But what we found is that our staff gives us the best ideas and the best practices. So once we identify that, you know, we're documenting it, we're putting it into practice.
Right.
And we're not only sharing it among our own workforce, but we're also sharing it with the IMCOM Directorate as well as the IMCOM headquarters, because collectively the Army is in this fight together, no matter where we are.
Yes. One team, one fight all the way.
That's
right.
They drill that into us in basic studies, so I'm sure you guys have heard it more than once. And that's you touch on a very big point. Communication. We are relearning communication and implementing it in the best ways possible. And that's something that should at least alleviate slightly some of the pressures that a lot of the parents are feeling at the moment, because this, you mentioned it before, this is new. This is brand new. They're not used to entire days for an extended period of time. Not just their significant other, but with their kids too. They're accustomed, okay, I go to work, my kids are in school, pick them up, help them with homework, and that's the day. So communication is a key factor, and I think that's one of the points we'll continue to drill, not just with the child youth services, with the child development centers, but also in the Army. We're learning it too. The green suiters are like, okay, what's the best and most effective way? But you said frequency of cleaning. Can you expand on that? What is the frequency of cleaning in your facilities? How often?
So we now we are honestly walking through the facility with hourly. Something happens in a classroom, you know, we constantly, regularly clean. But now if a classroom is not being used, that is being scrubbed. So toys are coming out, being disinfected, washing all of those things that are soft materials, making sure, and then we're locking those away. So we're going through cleaning our cubbies, making sure there's a deep clean, carpets are being cleaned and sanitized, and that is an ongoing process in every single one of our facilities right now.
And do you guys have a set of standards that you've built as you've gone along that you guys are adhering to?
Yes.
What would you be able to explain a little bit
So everybody's heard of the health protection condition, and as it's changed, you know, our normal one is Alpha. It's just daily business. As it's elevated into Bravo and now into Charlie, not only has it increased the frequency of what we're cleaning, but also the extent to which we're cleaning. So the normal course of business is to clean the things that are frequently touched. Make sure that those are disinfected, and particularly with little ones. They touch a lot of things. But in addition to that, what we're doing is we're increasing the frequency of the carpet cleanings now. We're increasing, in some cases, depending on what the surface is and what we're finding out from the medical side of the house, we're actually increasing the solution that we're using to make sure that it is strong enough and not wiping it once, but wiping it twice. And as she said, with the certain rooms, what we find is once we've sanitized an entire room, then that one's kind of locked away for that week. It allows us then the following week to shift that class. So you may find that one week your infants are in this room. The next week your infants will be in the next room, and that's so that we can fully address the room that was just used. That's not something we've normally done, because normally we're full to capacity.
So it's giving you the room to sort of assess and adjust as you guys go along.
Absolutely. In addition, a lot of the things that you find on the walls in the child and youth, we're taking those down, we're replacing them, we're moving them, cleaning them. You know, some of the things that normal course of business you pass by and think, oh, that's nice, that's pretty, but we're realizing that that's another contact point, that's another potential point of transmission. So we're taking those extra steps. So in some cases, it might actually make our facilities look a little bit austere, but it's just temporary. We're going to get back to normal.
And that's the hope here.
Right.
Fingers crossed this will end sooner than later.
Right.
I mean, we don't want to rush anything. We want to make sure everyone's taken care of properly. And I think as parents begin to understand that, it won't just alleviate pressure on them, but alleviate the pressure on you guys a little more, so you can address even the much smaller things that it's like, okay, we've touched on all the big points. Right. Let's now refine the smaller points. And how have these changes affected the staff? We forget that there are human beings that are the driving force behind these new changes and their implementations. How has this affected you all?
Well, so I think, I think that our staff are, like everyone else, fearful because of what they see on the news, what they hear on the radio. We are just going in and reassuring them, talking with them, trying to really keep the morale up, and really addressing how important our mission is. We need to make sure our soldiers and families are taken care of, and our families too. And I think just constant communication, conversations, it's a little more, we try to keep it lighter in the facilities, not so much work, but let's, just talk, and, we'll keep our social distance, we'll clean our environments, but that can still be in a much more relaxed way.
And I think having flexibility as well, that's the other thing.
Yes.
For our staff, normally, as I said, we're busy. All of our spaces are filled. Our staff are going 900 miles an hour.
Right.
At this time, there's a lot expected of them, and appreciating that there's a lot of expected of them, but at the same time, also affording them that downtime, having that flexibility where they get to take a breath, they get to engage in self-care. We're still open Monday through Friday. We're still open from early in the morning until end of the duty day. That aspect has not changed. And as you mentioned, the additives of helping with homework and helping the kids stay engaged. And in some cases, helping with their continual learning, understanding that at some point they're going to have to get back into that battle rhythm, that routine.
Yes.
And I think particularly for children, routine is very important.
Yes, it is.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
So that's really that routine for them as well as for our staff. It's that balance.
Routine can translate to discipline, given the right circumstances. Yeah. And have you guys discussed any unique forms of communication? Going back to that point, things that we've talked about distance learning. A lot of that has to do with using the computers from home or whatever. But have you guys used any specific programs, applications to communicate with one another and the parents?
So we haven't used any particular apps. I know the public schools tend to use Remind or things of that nature. We tend to stick with our more traditional mechanisms of communication. Primary one for child and youth is the registration in our system. And quite often folks will register, and it's been a year now, and something as simple as their email has changed. And so we are communicating via email, and we're receiving a lot of information that they didn't get the email. So we ask folks, maybe double check what information we have on file, because it is important that we're able to sustain critical communication. We double down on that by making sure that whatever we're putting out through email is also available on our MWR website. And what you'll find is that we've actually created a special COVID-19 that's very comprehensive across all of our programs. So you can find out what's open, what's not, what resources, and it does expand on the child and youth programs. And then lastly is our social media. We have a Facebook, and we've got a very vibrant following. So we post not only critical announcements, but we also post opportunities for social engagement in virtual means. Right. Because we are there to support the community. We want to make sure that they've got the resources they need to stay, mentally fit for the fight.
Absolutely.
Because that's what this duration of isolation and social distancing, that's really the heaviest toll it takes.
Yes.
Is on the mental capacities.
Absolutely.
So we are focused on that. We're very concerned about that. And like I said, we're hoping that it passes sooner than later, and we start to be able to ramp up operations and see our friends face to face.
Fingers crossed. Yes. Fingers crossed. But another big point that also concerned the parents is any services that they have paid for. How has this affected them? How are you guys working with the parents in a way to come meet in the middle with this?
Right. So those parents that have paid for services, if they've received services, of course, then that payment will be applied. If they made a payment and there's been this pause, so they have not been receiving care, that stays on their household. So there is no money lost there. And those patrons that were enrolled in our before and after school program, they are receiving now full day services. And because they are enrolled in that before and after school program, those services are covered as well for full day. So anyone out there that has used services, they have a balance on their account, it will stay there. It will not go away. And when we get over this pause, and we go back to full swing, everything will be sitting there for them.
Oh, excellent,
Yes.
excellent. That's been one of the big questions that
Yes.
have come up, and I've seen it on on social media as well.
Yes, they
So
will not lose any of their funds.
I
Absolutely
know that's
not.
another weight
Yeah.
off
Yes,
their back.
absolutely. And
We
I
can all
understand.
celebrate that.
Yes. It because it is, I mean, obviously it's a concern of a lot of people. As again, people listen to the news, people are losing jobs, things are closing down on the economy.
Yes.
We're very fortunate in on the installation to have some protections.
Absolutely.
And that is one of those.
And is registration open, or is there a pause on that as well? Do they have to wait?
Registration is ongoing. What we set in effect as of this morning, went out, got approval yesterday, is we have on our website listed just about every service that we have, that we offer at Parent Central Services. We're limiting foot traffic, but there is a listing of ways to do whatever it is that you need to do. So whether it's go on WebTrack and make a payment, or call and we'll email you the registration packet if you're new to the community.
Right.
You can still go on militarychildcare.com and get it put on the wait list, again, if you're new to the community or moving elsewhere. So there is really a listing of every service they provide at Parent Central Services now online that people can access and get all of their questions answered.
And if I may add, registration costs nothing.
Nothing.
So folks prior to this may have never considered registering their children.
Yes.
I would encourage you, wherever you go, wherever the Army takes you, take the time to register your children, because you never know when you might need care. And it all it costs you is the time.
Right.
There is no
Yes.
fee to register, and it's not until you activate care that the appropriate fees come into play.
Right. And you guys have this highlighted on your websites as well?
We do.
Yes, it is.
That's a big one for everyone.
Yes,
We'll
it
go to
is.
the internet page now before we make the
Yes.
phone call.
Yep.
Yes.
And are there any other unique initiatives like the Lego initiative that you guys have going, which is awesome? Are there any other unique initiatives that you guys are planning on implementing that you have scheduled down the road?
So, we actually have a lot going on, and it's mostly through our social media, through our Facebook page. In addition to the virtual Lego League, we are also providing story time virtually. So different members of our staff are rotating through, we're recording it, airing it, because that was a key service, particularly for our homeschoolers
Yes.
on the installation. We also are posting workouts of the day. I know a lot of folks, their fitness centers are closed, unfortunately,
Yes.
and that's a challenge for many. However, we're providing opportunities where you can stay fit and stay engaged without having to go to a gym. And additionally, I would tell you that a lot of the kids that are out of school still have a PE requirement. So they could certainly join you at their own capacity
Yes.
in doing some of the calisthenics or
The
whatever
HIIT
the challenge.
training.
Yeah, whatever the challenges are. And I think it's more fun as a family too as
Yes.
well. But primarily we're encouraging folks, get outside. Right, staying indoors is not going to be good for anybody.
Agreed.
There's nothing wrong with getting outside, enjoying some sunshine. Take a walk. 6 feet apart, of course,
Yes.
but take a walk. There's so much to see on this installation, and now's the time of year where it's not super hot. You're going to see the flowers and the birds and the butterflies. If you haven't gone to Warrior Walk, Boss just did a cleanup this weekend.
Nice.
So take those moments, take those pauses, appreciate what you've got immediately around you.
Is there a time frame? Obviously, we're following guidance from the CDC and higher Army, the DOD, and so on. But is there a time frame where Child Youth Services, Child Development Center Services, and MWR that you guys have thought, okay, we can come together still with social distance, still enacting the right distance, but to discuss how you guys will pick things back up, when things might change? I know we all don't know when anything might change, but have you had any discussions like that?
Yeah, so a lot of our plans, the same way that we draw down, we go in reverse and open back up. So we've got the CDCs open. What we look forward to is the time when we're able to turn the fitness centers back on, because that's a huge resource in the community. Once we get that going, then we'll look at what other facilities. I think it may be a little bit longer before we get back to the bowling center or the libraries, because those are a little bit more challenging if the health protection measures are still very strong.
Right.
But we will look at the first opportunity we can to reactivate our outdoor recreation programs. Right, so a lot of our fishing tournaments and our shooting tournaments have been put on a temporary pause. We'll get them back on the calendar as soon as we can. But we were getting into that season where we started to do a lot more outdoors.
And then we hit the wall.
Yeah, and then we hit the wall.
Yes.
So that's okay. We're going to climb over that wall eventually.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we'll get back up and running. And I'm cautiously optimistic. It'll be maybe hopefully around Memorial Weekend. That would be fantastic if we could start to bring folks, out of their little catacombs and get them back engaged. What we may do as well is start the movies in the park where we have the giant inflatable screen. We may have to section off 6 foot by 6 foot areas for folks. Right.
Keep families contained in their own section.
Anything's possible. It really is. Anything's possible.
All pending guidance with changes. Right. And that's a big point of stress to the parents. It's like, these are the things we want to do, that the services that are intended to be provided, but just as long as things progress out of this pandemic situation.
Right. And some, just to tag on to that a little bit, as we head into April is the month of the military child. We do a lot of big celebrations, both in public forum and at our facilities. And right now, those are just paused. We are planning, we have purchased lots of things, and those will come back into play as soon as we, kick this virus, and we will start the fun again in the big festivities.
Yeah.
And do you guys have any additional thoughts, any topics we didn't cover that you'd like to address now? Feel free.
I don't think so. I mean, this has been a major concern with all of the town halls and the Facebook Lives and so on. We keep seeing repeated questions. So we greatly appreciate this opportunity to help answer those questions.
Yeah, and I would really just like to say thank you to the community for understanding, being patient with our front desks as they enter the facilities. It's been a day-by-day, really fluid, so fluid, this whole situation, and their kindness is appreciated.
And tell the audience where they can reach you guys. Tell us the socials, the websites.
So StuartHunterArmyMWR.com. You can Google the MWR website. That's got all of the contact information. We do still have staff answering phones depending on facilities that are available. And then otherwise, if they happen to be on the global email, they can find us that way as well. If all else fails, send us a message through the social media or send us a message through our website. We do have our marketing team is still monitoring both of those, and they'll get it to the right point of contact to help you out. Right.
Yeah, about you, Ms. Roth, same thing?
Same thing, absolutely. Yep, shared resources there. We're one team.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much for spending the time with us. I want to say thank you to the 3rd Infantry Division community for tuning in and making sure that they get the information where it's at from the right people. Rock of the Marn to you all. Have a good day.